Hey everybody, it's Chris, and today I want to talk about one of the primary changes in general between the 2024 core rules and the 2014 core rules. If you buy the books and read them, you are going to notice a significant change. And this was kind of brought on. I was asked a question by somebody they noticed that the anti-magic field spell in particular was very different in the 2024 version and the 2014 version. And Anti-Magic Field is a pretty long and complicated spell, and they were wondering if I could summarize the differences between the two versions. And so I did a detailed analysis comparing the 2014 version and the 2024 version to see what all the differences were, because the old version is very, very long, and the new version is very, very short. So obviously significant changes. And so once I compiled the differences, I realized that this is a theme in the 2024 rules that kind of extends throughout the core books that I don't really hear being talked about a lot. Like, I've seen lots of lists where they discuss, these are the changes from the 2014 versions, and this tends not to get listed. So I wanted to go over it today. So I'm going to be talking mainly about Anti-Magic Field here because this is the prime example, I think, or a prime example of this change. So up on your screen right now, you will see Anti-Magic Field and you'll see a legacy tag. That means this is the 2014 version. And this is as it is presented on D&D Beyond, though obviously it looks similar in the 2014 Player's Handbook. And you will see at the top we have all the spell description stuff for the statistics, and then we get into the text, and we can see that we begin with 2 paragraphs of text, and then it continues, and we have target effects, area of magic, spells, magic items, magical travel, creatures and objects, and dispel magic. And so we end up with a pretty long spell. And this is the 2024 version. And it says, an aura of anti-magic surrounds you in a 10-foot emanation. No one can cast spells, take magic actions, or create other magical effects inside the aura. And those things can't target or otherwise affect anything inside it. Magical properties of magic items don't work inside the aura or on anything inside it. Areas of effect created by spells or other magic can't extend into the aura, and no one can teleport into or out of it, or use planar travel there. Portals close temporarily while in the aura. Ongoing spells, except those cast by an artifact or a deity, are suppressed in the area. While an effect is suppressed, it doesn't function, but the time it spends suppressed counts against its duration. Dispel magic has no effect on the aura, and the auras created by different anti-magic fields don't nullify each other. This is what I did. I went through the 2014 version, and I meticulously listed every single thing that this spell does, this big, long spell, and then I compared it to the 2024 version to find out which of these things it still does and which of these things it doesn't do. And I've created a chart. I'll put it up on the screen. So you'll see on the left side, we have the 2014 version of Anti-Magic Field, and on the right side, the 2024 version. Now, when it comes to the base statistics, like I said, they are basically the same. They're both level 8. That means this is a very, very high level spell. You have to be 15th level at least in order to cast a spell. Casting time is 1 action. The range is worded slightly differently. We have a range of self with a 10-foot aura for the 2014 version, a range of self with a 10-foot emanation in the 2024 rules. Just a change of wording means the same thing. Components are verbal, somatic, and material for both versions. The duration is 1 hour using concentration for both versions. The school is abjuration for both versions. So let's go through all the things the 2014 version does and see which of those things the 2024 version does and which ones it doesn't. So first off, casting spells inside. The 2014 version doesn't allow it. The 2024 version doesn't allow it. Other magic actions inside, neither allow it. Spells and magical effects from outside the area only work if they are created by a deity or an artifact, and that is true of both versions of this spell. So let's say you have the Hand of Vecna. When you are inside the area, you cannot cast spells from your Hand of Vecna or do other magical effects. But if you are outside the anti-magic field, you can cast a spell into the anti-magic field, and that is true for both 2014 and 2024. Then we go to magic items, and with magic items, it says in the 2014 version, it says they become mundane, which I assume means they don't work, right? But they work as soon as they leave the field. The new version says they don't work while they're in the area. And once again, I assume they work when they leave the field. So significantly different wording, by the way, for these two things, but ultimately meaning the same thing. Spell areas, it says they cannot protrude into the area in the 2014 version. In the new version, it says they can't extend into the area. Protrude, extend, same thing. Planar travel doesn't work in either case. Portals temporarily close for both 2014 and 2024. Dispel magic does not work on the 2014 version or the 2024 version. And if you have another anti-magic field, it doesn't affect the first one, and that's true for both the 2014 and 2024 versions. And now we're going to come to the first change from the two versions, and that is areas of magic. So some spells have an area of effect. An example would be a lightning bolt. Lightning bolt creates a big long line, and that is an area of effect. And the 2014 version says specifically it creates a gap. That's the wording it uses. So you have the spell on one side, and then it's suppressed, or it can't extend into the aura, but then on the other side it continues. Well, with the 2024 version, it says it can't extend into the emanation. This means something different. In fact, I'll show you on a battle map. So we're going to go ahead and say this red aura is an anti-magic field. All right, so we have one caster, they've cast anti-magic field. Then we have another caster on the right, and they want to cast a lightning bolt. So if they cast a lightning bolt with the 2014 version, this is what happens. The lightning bolt will extend from the caster to the aura, and then it will stop. And then what will happen is on the other side of the aura, the lightning bolt will continue on its merry way. So you have just a gap in the area of effect. But with the new version, the 2024 version, the lightning bolt extends to the aura, and then it stops, and it does not continue on the other side. Now, which of those two is better? It depends. If you are the one casting the anti-magic aura and the other caster is an enemy, you probably would prefer for that area of effect to just be smaller. Well, if that other caster is an ally, it might be advantageous for them to be able to, cast past you and hit creatures on the other side. So I don't think I have a preference one way or the other, but that is a difference between the two spells. So back to our chart, and so that is our first difference. We then go on to ongoing spells. So let's say you have a Hero's Feast cast on yourself, and then you enter an anti-magic field. Or let's say you have a summoned creature, and it enters an anti-magic field. What it says is those spells are suppressed. So when you enter the anti-magic field, you no longer benefit from Hero's Feast. Your summoned creature winks out of existence. And there is an exception to this, unless the spell was cast by an artifact or a deity. So if, you used an artifact to cast Hero's Feast, it remains. This is true with the 2014 version and the 2024 version. Wording on that part is almost exactly the same and the same mechanics. And then durations of suppressed spells, it says the time that they are suppressed counts against the duration, and it says that in both versions. And that is it. So if we go through this entire thing, this on the left is everything the 2014 version does. And on the right, we can see that the 2024 version does all the same stuff, except the areas of magic one creates a gap, and the other just stops the spell. And otherwise, I mean, 99% of the time, there will be no change at all. So if we're looking at the 2014 version, it looks kind of almost overwhelming and daunting how just long this spell is and the number of things it does. And so it is easy to assume that when you look at this short spell, there's no way it covers all the same things, but it pretty much does. And that is a surprise. And the dramatic change here is how we can have pretty much exactly the same spell with using such a dramatically different amount of space and words. The 2014 version uses 458 words to tell you what it does, 2,644 characters. The new version, 144 words, 700 characters. That is a fraction of the space to do the same thing. If you have the 2024 rules and you have discovered any other serious examples of, compression of wording, let me know. I used anti-magic here because it was a dramatic example, and as I went through and noticed that the spells are basically the same other than the size, I thought that was interesting and worthy of a video. Now I would like to thank the supporters of this channel. Without these people, I would be unable to do this full time. So thank you so much to my patrons. And if you would like to support this channel, there is a link in the video description. Today I am thanking Airhead and Bloody Nine, Atherzone, Brody, Brian, Chris C, Carell, Dank Train, Darastrix, Dewey Cheatham and Howe, Douglas Reynolds, Dalmoon, Eden, Elijah, Aaron, Eric Wasserman, FBKO5, Gishlife, Henry Malinowski, He That Is, Heisenberger, Hunter, James Makla, James Sprague, Jariru, John Matera, Jonathan Zucker, Justin Times, Mark D, Math Guy Dave, Ericdes, PCZ, Quicksilver HG80, Ramen Goblin, Relax Fantasy Review, Samwise Gamgee, Scott Parsons, Sarek Steeleye, Tim Gerbafic, and William Whittles. So thank you to the Thaumaturge level patrons. Thanks to all my patrons, and until next time, I am going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.